back. We are back. We are back. I'm hoping that you guys saw that video. Fire Prevention Week is upon us. And of course, we speak to a very, very good friend, Fire Prevention Officer in the TTFS, Officer Jude Rogers. And Jude is joining us to just delve just a bit into Fire Prevention Week. So, good morning again to you, and thank you so much. I had so much fun with you the last time. So,
Good morning. Good morning. It's a pleasure
morning.
to be back with you all here on the morning live with you guys. And of course, when we speak about fire, most times it's a good thing because we use it to cook, use it to get warm, we may use it to, in applications. Fire is something that was devastation. And just as the video alluded to, never use water as a measure to extinguish a fire in your kitchen where oil, fats, and those types of greases are utilized. Because, as a particular video, the water react with hydrogen molecules. As you know, water is more dense than oil, and so the oil floats on top and it rapidly expands, causing a conflagration which will disfigure and damage and maim anyone that is in close proximity. So this
Ye-
function theme is cooking safety starts with you.
I love the way that you said that because it definitely starts with you. And Fire Prevention Week is upon us. What does this entail, Jude, for our viewers? What can we expect for Fire Prevention Week?
Right. Fire prevention within the fire service is the time when we amp up our outreach programs. So what you can expect from your local fire division in Tobago is an outreach program that will reach you all either on social media, on radio programs, on television, to share this pertinent information of how you can in your kitchen and while conducting cooking operations within your vicinity. So we have some very, very important tips that you will be hearing as the week progresses. In Trinidad, of course, we will be continuing in our various the same films. We will be putting and sharing these videos and posts with each and every one of you. As we go along, I'll give some further tips as to what you can do to protect your family and especially children while in the kitchen.
Right. And we also what I love about my interviews with you, Jude, we pay so much attention to the home because
Yes.
this is basically the catalyst. This is basically where
Yes.
everything starts. And
Definitely.
educating ourselves is so important with regards to fire and fire prevention, with regard to disasters of all kind. But since
On
it's
the
Fire
whole,
Prevention Week, we're touching on fires to be specific. What are some of the tips that we have to adhere to? I mean, we spoke at length the last time you were with us. But just to reiterate for our viewers, what are some of the tips that we need to really pay attention and adhere to, and of course, implement? Your thoughts.
so for this particular focus, I want to address the whole idea of cooking in our homes and even when you do outdoor cooking, because we love with little campfires and we love to do little bonfires, etc. So let's talk about it a little bit. So just imagine you're cooking in your home. The first thing you're going to need is some form of fuel. So what we're saying is please do the normal checks on your gas tanks, make sure that they have no leaks. Do some checks on your gas lines and the regulator. Always start with that because that's your source of fuel. Additionally to that, make sure that your regulators are in good working order. And if you smell gas, the point that we make from the fire service is to ventilate before you switch or turn off anything. Turn off the gas tank and ventilate. Get that gas tank outside, get it under tap with running water. Some other tips that you can adhere to. When you're in the kitchen, pots and the handles to the pots should never be extending up beyond the front of your stove. They should always be turned inward to avoid collision and spillage of hot material onto your body where you can get scalding or burns as a result of the heat. We also want to make the kitchen a kids free and also a pet free zone. Many a times, children are allowed to play within a dangerous area called the kitchen. We're asking parents and guardians to be so careful as to create a 3 feet or 1 meter exclusion zone where your children know that they're not allowed, including your pets. We don't want them pulling or tugging on hot items and causing themselves to be burned. Just recently, we had an experience in the media where a child was burnt by hot water, and eventually that child died as a result of blood clots which developed. We can avoid these types of situations. Also, be reminded when you're cooking outdoors, always have a fire extinguisher around you and remove combustible materials such as the paper towels, even the mittens that you hold. Do not leave them on the stove as they can also become involved and start a fire on the stove. Last but not least, when cooking, especially if you have a pot, always have the lid very close by. So if a grease fire occurs, you can simply take the lid, cover the pot, and remove the oxygen from the process, thus extinguishing the fire.
What about persons with businesses or entrepreneurs? Do you see them adhering to these, simple and basic rules and regulations of fire prevention?
All right, as with every person in society, there are those who take these measures very seriously, and there are those who would want to flaunt the law. Thankfully, for commercial properties, there are laws that govern the certification of commercial properties, especially your well-established kitchens, such as KFC and all of the major food brands. So they have suppression systems within their cooking range hood as well as what we call a wet chemical fire extinguisher. Now, the wet chemical fire extinguisher works extremely well on hot oil, fats, and grease. So there's not going to be an addition of a water extinguisher, as you know from the video, and I hope we run that video at the end of our segment. So those who missed it can see the impact of the video. But water is what you want to remove from a kitchen in terms of applying that to an oil-based fire. And so I am saying that many businesses, they are on board because one, businesses know the importance of business continuity. And so for the protection of themselves and their profits, they tend to agree and to conform to the laws set out in the OSH Act and the Fire Service Act. But we are still encouraging those who may not have come under our umbrella to do so and seek certification from the fire service to assure yourself and your patrons that your business is above board where fire safety is concerned.
And what about schools? Because my mind is just buzzing like 100 miles a minute. Are regular visits made to the schools? Are we empowering and educating our teachers and, caregivers as to the do's and the don'ts when it comes to fire prevention and fire safety?
That's an excellent question. And interestingly enough, one of the focus or the areas of focus that we have and the fire service is paying attention to is our youth. Because as you would understand from the fire statistics, and let me just share quickly with you, the fire statistics for 2023, nationwide fire result
Yes, we're
result in
having
persons
just
who
a
are
bit
over
of,
the age.
all right. So we were having just a bit of difficulty there technically, but we're back on track,
Yes.
and I like the
Okay.
fact that you spoke about, placing particular emphasis on the
Attention.
youth. We have to
That's
take it
right.
there. We really have to get our youngsters on board. We have to, invite that conversation because we need continuity. The adults, they may know something, they may know not too much, but education is important. And so I love the fact that you are delving in to the youth and you're delving into the schools. Are there
That's right.
any types of outreach programs that you guys are involved in for Fire Prevention Week? Are you in the communities at all?
Definitely, I can speak a bit about Tobago initiatives that they've had over the years, and I want to commend my the officers of the fire prevention to Tobago. I normally would visit them, take this opportunity to come to the island of Tobago, and what they do over the years, they have gone to stakeholders, namely the schools, places like the home for the aged, and the activity that I know that they do in the community, going up to the rural areas, even up in the Palato Bay area, and going up on that. They have focused on meeting in the community with and conducting even quiz and things that will get the community involved. So it's not just about telling you about fire, but also sort of getting you by giving you just a little game to play, a little activity that gets you on board, and then learning can take place. So members of the public in Tobago, to air fire prevention department right there in Scarborough, they are well equipped to share information, and I look forward to the initiatives that they're going to be having this year with the community, because they always go above and beyond the call where fire prevention and fire safety messaging is concerned. I have to get some of them to come out to our interview after that. I would love to have my counterparts here with me. So we're working on that.
Yeah, I love it. I love the possibilities here because we're talking about outreach. We're talking about reaching the youths. We're in schools, and just broadening that type of education that we need because it's
Yes,
always a conversation. Fire and
yes,
fire prevention, it's always a conversation that keeps buzzing, it keeps happening. You hear of too many accidents, too many fatalities regarding fire.
yes,
And sometimes it's a simple, I'm not there, so I can't speak on it, but sometimes it's a simple thing that was left plugged in.
yes,
Or the
yes,
gas tank is not managed well, those of us who
yes.
use that, and so the education is so important. But I just want to take you back just a little bit. The last time you were here, we were speaking on persons who are dedicated to fire and fire prevention,
Yes,
education.
yes,
We talked
yes,
so much the last time you were here. So
yes,
let's just touch just a bit on the do's and don'ts because we
yes,
want to really
definitely, definitely,
reiterate those. All right, so we're going to take it
definitely.
take it from there.
Right. So I'm glad that you brought us back to that point, because there are some basic things that you need to do. Listen, members of the public, if you really want to secure your homes, you need to have some sort of detection device in your homes. We work so hard to put our homes in place. We work so hard to protect our homes. We fix up very lovely for the Christmas. We put up Christmas lights, etc. All of these things that we do present hazards, fire safety hazards. So I hope back with you. Right. So fire prevention officers are asking that you take cognizance to the tips that we're giving. One, make sure you have a smoke detector installed in every single room in your home. Bedrooms, especially in the kitchen, you don't need to put in the kitchen because the smoke will trigger the fire alarm in the kitchen. But if you have smoke detectors installed, and they're very inexpensive, and there are a number of companies big that supply them, you just need to reach out to them. I don't want to call any names, but of course, there are the normal suppliers of safety products in Tobago. And once you have a smoke detector, you will be awakened at the earliest possible point. It takes only 20 seconds for a smoke alarm to detect and give off that alarm song. And it can awaken you in night, giving you the opportunity to get to your serviceable fire extinguisher, which I'm also recommending that you have installed within your home. At least two should be in your home. One exit door to the back, one to the front. You should have that in your home. And you utilize the fire extinguisher to extinguish the blaze and evacuate at the earliest possible time. These tips are so very important to ensure that your life is protected and you can even save your home from further escalation of a fire that can begin.
What is the conversation like? Because we know what we're supposed to be doing. The education is there. But what is the conversation like with regards to fire and fire prevention? Are we taking it seriously, is what I'm asking, as a society? What is it like?
That's a very good question. And the reason for that is that we're recognizing from the psychology behind it that persons really only move towards a place of safety or ensuring that they have safety either by some punitive damage regulation that causes you to be fined as a result of not putting certain things in place. But generally speaking, persons are not heeding the call. And so this is why our outreach programs continue to be pressed into the media, and we keep coming on the news media because we feel as though you only hear about fire prevention when there is a death or when some major business is destroyed. As you know, crime is the number one issue that plagues our country. But just remember for a moment that fire can take your entire livelihood. That's your business. All your workers are now unemployed, and it can also take your entire home. So if I were to raise the level of awareness, it would be to bring about a change in the behavior and the culture that Trinidad and Tobago has when it comes to fire. And if I was just to point, in the United States of America and in Europe, you would realize that when a fire marshal steps into the property, everybody stops and takes notice. And this is the approach that we want people to have. Don't wait until the fire service comes to your business or to your community. You should be taking a proactive step to eliminate fire as a hazard in your home because of the destruction that can come if left unattended or if we don't focus on removing.
And the education is so important. We had so many issues with bushfires, for example, and it has been such a buzz. But it's not only because of the talk on the environment; it's also very to our ecosystem. What is it doing to our ecosystem when we have to deal with all of these fires, and that sort of thing? So you were talking to me last time about some guidelines on bushfire season. And those are some of the things that I tend to keep at the forefront of my mind because it is so important. We're seeing it more and more, and many people still aren't educated. So we're getting ready to wrap, but let's just touch on some of the guidelines for the bushfire season. Let's go back.
So interestingly enough, even though we're in the rainy season by normal measures, we have been having a number of hot spells. And those hot spells have led to a number of bushfires that we've noticed. So the real admonition is one, as we near December, the 1st of December is the start of the bushfire season, which runs all the way to the 30th of June of the following year. Start to prepare by removing vegetation in excess of your fence line. Cut a fire trace around your property. Exclude the vegetation so that you will not have that vegetation there as a means for the fire to spread and even reach to your home. Clean the eaves of the property wherever the water guttering is. Remove leaves and any sort of shrubbery that will be in close proximity to those, especially if you have wooden rafters or wooden elements of your roof. You would not want that to come into contact with bushfire. Again, pull it from your gas station, which is only $10. It will come to your, it will give you the precautions to take to be able to burn material in a controlled manner. Remember, fire safety begins with each and every one of us. So when we focus on fire safety, we not only protect our homes and our livelihood, we protect the environment, lovely fauna, so beautiful in the Isle of Trinidad, but even more so in the Isle of Tobago.
And you said it so well. So I don't have anything else to say after that. Jude, we want to thank you so much. Thank you for your information. You're always ready to inform us and educate us. And from our family to yours, we sincerely thank you and wish nothing but blessings upon your life. So please take care and we will meet again because we have so much more to discuss. But for now, we say thank you and have a blessed weekend. Yeah?
Thank
So
you.
we're going to take a break, guys, and we're going to be right back with more Brunch, a taste of Tobago. But our lovely, lovely, lovely trivia question. Oh, my. What was the first location of the Happy Haven School? And we're going to be right back with more Brunch, a taste of Tobago. Our culture corner is up next. Royal joins us, and oh my, we're going to be talking, we're going to be delving in. So you guys don't want to miss that. We'll be right back with more Brunch, a taste of Tobago.